I have two stories that I want to talk about. I don't know if it's the reason why I'm living in a trailer to begin with, but I'm between two mountain ranges where I live, and it's really claustrophobic here. A lot of people are moving in, and you can just, you can see them just growing on the mountain sides. The buildings are going up, and they keep getting further and further on the mountain, and I have to keep going further and further south. I think living in a trailer makes me feel like I can move away anytime. But I feel so claustrophobic sometimes. I love the mountains. If I had the choice, though, I'd take my trailer and live up in the mountains for free, or have a cabin up there, something to get away. It's colder up there, too, and penguins like the cold. I do, too. So, I don't know. First story that I have is when I was 2 or 3, I can't remember. My parents were still together. They were still married. I remember, man, I have these memories, but I remember there being a suitcase on the floor, and we were playing hide and go seek, and I remember getting in the suitcase, my 2 twin older brothers, and they kind of pressured me to get in there to see if I could fit. So I got in. I remember them zipping it up on me. And I remember it getting stuck, and they couldn't unzip it as easily. I just remember screaming for who knows how long. I don't think I had a concept of time, but it didn't even matter. Yeah. It's one of my earliest memories, was that. I can get on elevators just fine and stuff like that, but man, just living in this valley between mountain ranges is really rough. When I lived in Texas, it was a lot more open, And even California, you have the sea that you can look out on. But I love the mountains. I don't know. It's kind of mixed feelings there. I have another story where after my parents divorced, I remember we lived in an apartment complex, and my mom would, to make ends meet, she'd make these really horrific little, they're talented, but they were horrific little, hairbands, and she'd sell them at work. But, gosh, how old was I? I must have been 4 or 5 this time. I couldn't swim at the time. I didn't know how to swim, and I remember being by the pool, and there was these teenage kids that just started bullying me. I think because of that stutter I talked about earlier. But I remember being beside the pool. My mom wasn't super close at the time, but they pushed me in, and I started to drown. And it was a scary feeling. You think that penguins should be able to swim naturally, right? But not all of us. I've always felt different, right? Well, that was a scary moment where I felt the water coming in on me. I remember my mom running out and having somebody else jump in to save me. But that stuck with me too. I felt like not being able to breathe, I feel that sometimes when I get really sad. When I'm alone. When you start to hyperventilate a little bit. Breathe quickly, you can't breathe. Or maybe in life, there's something you need to do more and you're just not able to do it, Feel like things are coming in on you. I don't know, I felt that way some parts of my marriage. I feel that way some nights, actually, right now, the last year and a half after my marriage was over. You know, I pick up my kids, I have that good time with them, and then I drop them off. And then I come home and I sit down, I start to hyperventilate. And it feels claustrophobic. It feels terrible. Anyways. Yeah, so those are two stories. I still can't, crawl through things very well. That's always a scary thought. But, I mean, I live in a 20-foot trailer, and that's kind of small. But I can always walk right outside. I always make sure there are exits, in a tight room. Maybe a reason why I don't love crowds as much. Kind of like with my ADHD, maybe a combination of those two, who knows.